Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on the advantages of toll numbers via VoIP. I'm Liam. I'm from VoIP Telecom.
And I'm Dean from VoIPcloud Wholesale. Together, we'll show you how our platform helps both partners and businesses thrive in the modern communication space.
Here's what we'll cover today: understanding toll numbers, business advantages, and then we'll do a how to get started live demo.
This is a short 30 to 45-minute session with a Q&A session at the end. You can post your questions using the Q&A option at the top of the Teams window throughout the session, and we will respond to these questions at the end of the session. We will also share contact details if you'd like to connect with us directly. Calls to shared toll numbers incur the cost of a local call, whereas calls to toll-free numbers allow customers to call your business for free. But with VoIP, these numbers are cloud-hosted and far more flexible than the traditional landline-based toll-free services.
Some of the key features we offer with our toll numbers include two-way voice via web phone or MS Teams, utilizing third-party integrations, or even just having your toll number forwarded onto a call diversion.
Traditional toll-free services often rely on rigid routing, making it challenging to distribute calls across multiple teams or locations. With VoIP-hosted toll-free numbers, you gain smart routing to multiple staff or departments, geographic and time-based routing options, full analytics and call reporting, no physical infrastructure limitations. This provides businesses with flexibility, scalability, and a better customer experience.
As you can see, toll numbers have many different uses and a wide range of features. I'll run you through some key features now and getting started with toll numbers. So within our customer portal, once you've signed up, you'll have complete access to everything. Under the services tab, first of all, we'll start off with just a singular phone number. So what I'm going to do is go toll-free and special numbers, and I'm going to grab a 1300 shared toll number. When you add these numbers to the system, the cost of the number will pop up, as well as any inbound rates. When it's added to your cart, it will simply add it here. Now, we'll revisit this section a bit later when we look at it doing a bit of a different setup, but we'll do a simple setup for now. So we will just do a 1300 number once that's submitted and ordered. We will put that in our PBX and set up a 1300 number to call diversion. We'll look at other features as well that you can utilize with this. So within the PBX tab, we will grab the inbound number from the left-hand side and drag and drop that in. Click on the settings for the inbound number you've just created and move it across into included numbers. Now for this, all we can do or want to do is do a direct to call diversion, where we can set up a 1300 number to go directly to our call diversion feature. And then we can add numbers in here. So you can add a range of numbers that you want, as well as you can also enable call confirm. So when a call comes in utilizing this particular feature, what will happen is the person on the other end, on whatever mobile has answered, will hear a message play. This is a call from the PBX. Push 1 to confirm the call or accept the call. So essentially that call can then be taken by that person. Now, having this feature enabled is useful if you want to use like our voicemails within the system and have it separated from your personal. Otherwise, you can toggle that off and just have calls go directly to your phone and you can pick them up. This way, you don't really get an identifier of who's calling and what's happening there, but you do have that option. Now, with this option here as well, we can then, if we've got call confirm added, you can then go directly to a voicemail. So with the voicemail to email, you have a local storage where you can open local storage and access it via the customer portal. Or if you have users added, you can add their user web phones and access it via the desktop on the web phone. The other option is voicemail to email, which a lot of people will use. You can basically just enter whatever email address you want to send it to. That will send an attachment, and you have your voicemail to email. So in this basic setup, we've had a 1300 number come through. We have the call diversion set up to do call confirm. And if I don't answer or confirm the call, it stays in the system and goes to this voicemail. With this as well, you do have quite a few other features that you can pop in. So this is just a basic inbound to like call forwarding or diversion. Another option you could do is you could utilize this and have time conditions added after your inbound number. So this is all without adding a user at this stage, just because we're just having the calls forwarded. So in this case, we can have another call diversion, or we could have a voicemail. So what we can do here, let's add a couple of features. So let's say my time condition here with my days and hours. So I would add those in. And I'm going to add in Monday to Friday. I'm going to add in 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The perfect workday. Now, when that's added in, what I can do is I can stipulate where I want this to go. So I can stipulate this to go to voicemail, and I can stipulate this to go to call diversion. At the moment, it's going to go 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. It goes matches to this voicemail. That's not what I want. I want to switch these two things around. So what I can do is click on the option that I want to switch and go doesn't match, and it will swap them. So now when it doesn't match, so it's after these hours, Saturday, Sunday, after 5, before 9, it will go to this voicemail. And with that voicemail, you can customize it like you have with the other. So you can have your own greetings and everything added in here, as well as you can stipulate the local or voicemail to email, just like we have previously. Now, with this kind of thing as well, when calls come in and it matches, it can just be diverted to my mobile number. So you can kind of elaborate what you want to do there. Now, with this as well, you do have even further features that you could utilize. So with 1300 numbers, we pick up the information of where the caller has called from, even mobile numbers, so like cell towers and stuff like that get picked up. So what you could do with this, for example, you could use geo routing. So if it matches my time conditions, what I can utilize is geo routing. So geo routing, as stipulated, if it's a 1300 or 1800, we can map this out a bit better. I can say if it calls a Victoria, even I could break it down if you really wanted to, I'll just go Victoria. If a call's coming to Victoria, go directly to this. Now, if the call's anywhere else, like New South Wales, maybe you have a specific team or a member who looks after it in New South Wales, or you only have one person who looks after Victoria and then someone else who looks after the rest of the regions because they're a bit slower. You could definitely do something like that and add another condition in here, a call diversion, and then you can also stipulate anonymous as well. So basically what this is going to do with the 1300 number picking up the information from the carrier, including mobile locations, it's going to go to this time condition. That time condition is going to go, if we're open, check my geo routing. If it's anywhere in Victoria, so the call has originated anywhere in Victoria, go to this call diversion and this particular person. However, if it doesn't match or the person is anonymous, it can go to this call diversion here. And that way you can separate where your calls are coming from. That's a very useful feature, especially with 1300, 1800 numbers or any toll numbers. But in this example, we've basically created a division of where calls can go. Even further on that, you could, if you didn't want to use geo routing and you just wanted people to select the option, so you didn't want to have it more automated, let's say we get rid of that geo routing and we add a voice menu. You can have calls come in to go matches, and then you can say, thank you for calling. Press 1 to talk to this person. Push 2 to talk to this person. And then even in the voice menu, you have the option to upload your own greeting or record your own voice, as well as you have advanced parameters on plain invalid options. So if they push 3 and it's not on your list, as well as you can have options to do a number of attempts, as well as allow calling to internal numbers. So when we set up a user, you'll see that we can nominate an internal number. So if you have a voice menu in place and you have allow calls to internal numbers, you can have people come into your voice menu and you can have another option to say, thank you for calling, push 1 for this person, push 2 for this person. Or if you know the internal number of the person you want to talk to, enter it now. So you could do that kind of stuff. It gets quite flexible. Obviously, there are limitations where you can't have call queues in here or ring groups without having users added, because that's what your users get added to. But you can utilize call diversions for this purpose, especially with a toll number. Now, as mentioned earlier, if we go back into the services and I want to add my PBX licenses, so my users, so I want someone to have a physical application on their mobile device, their desktop, or a browser to answer these calls, I can add a user by adding the user under the PBX licenses. So when I add this user in, I'll be able to go into the PBX. And that's just processing now, so that will add it live to the system. Once that's processed, we'll be able to go into the PBX itself and start setting the user up. So now I can go in to the PBX option and I can add the user anywhere here. Sometimes you might want to create separate tabs and have your call flow and your users separated. You can name your tabs as well, but essentially what we can do is drag and drop the user in, go into the user settings, and go and name this user. So we'll give it the name example. Because we don't have any outbound caller IDs in the system, it won't allow us to select them. But if we did, we'd be able to select that here. We can record the user's calls if we choose to, and then this internal number that we're talking about. So if someone comes in on my voice menu, I can have, let's say, 9,000 of this person's internal number. So that option you may have, which is enter the internal number of the person that you want to speak to, they can enter this number and it'll connect to this person. So with our web phone option, you need to enter the information. So we'll do info@example.com.au. Then what we can do here is we can choose to disable their mechanics. So if you don't want them to be able to disable their queue memberships or stop them from removing themselves from queues, you can do that here. Now, the other thing we need to do is nominate their device. So we've got the browser option for web phone, we've got the desktop option, and we've got the mobile option. Today, we'll just add a random one, which will be the web phone desktop. Now, when I have no available devices, I can easily go create new. So the system walks you through all these processes and steps. So that's creating a device for me. So setting all the logistics up that it needs. Now, what it's done is it's giving me the device. Now it's created it, and I can just simply click add. That's added that to this user. I can click save. And what will happen is when I've configured this properly, we'll just remove the unconfigured items without the voice recordings. I hit apply configuration. That's going to send that user an email, which will say web phone invite. It will have a link to set their password, and it will take them to a page where they can download the application that you've nominated for them. Now, in this case, we've got the call flow. We don't need to really use the call diversions anymore because we can have the calls go directly to the user's mobile application or desktop application. So what we're going to do in this case, if the call matches, we're going to send it to a call queue instead. So when I drag and drop my call queue in, I'm going to have that go to the call queue. And then I'm going to have calls that are not answered in the call queue go to a voice menu. So when I go into the call queue, because I have my user set up, I can simply add them here with this green button. Just add the user that you've created and done. Now, for the rest of the call queue, we need to name it. So you may have specific names for your call queues. Some people just name them generic teams, or some people have specific teams for them. With call queues, you can nominate your own internal numbers as well. You can select how you want it to ring. So you can ring all the people in this list. You can do a linear ring, which will ring from top to bottom. You can do round robin, which goes in a circular motion and previously picks up from where left off. And then least recent, who hasn't received a call recently. Most popular is either ring all or round robin, but it does come down to customizing it to what you want. On the right-hand side, you have an option to add a greeting for someone when someone joins your queue. The most common thing is thank you for calling, we'll be with you shortly. Other things could include, did you know you can make bookings on our website or make changes here or do this? So they're quite common things that people will utilize that for. You can choose to play a ringtone. So when someone's in your queue, it just sounds like ringing, like a direct ring to someone. Or you can have hold music. So you can select from our hold music here. Or if you go into the system settings, you can add your own hold music. Now, with periodic announcements, you can either upload your own message, and a lot of people utilize this to say, thank you for calling. Queues are bigger than expected. We'll be with you shortly. You can disable it, or you can add you just use the default, which is just a sound. So with the custom, you can also select how often that plays. Now, on top of all this, if you wanted to, you could pair two items together. You could pair a custom announcement with exit codes. So when it gets to a certain period of time or every so often, you might want to say, thank you for calling. Currently, our calls are larger than expected. Please push whatever number you nominate in here, so 1 to 9, to go to leave a message and we'll call you back, something like that. Now, with your maximum wait time, you can nominate that too. So a lot of people will have shorter wait times depending on their size of their business. A lot of people also will add additional things like maybe you just have a 10 hours, so you never really want it to max out. You know, you don't want people on the phone for that long. You want them to get answered sooner than later. So you just max it out so they always stay in the queue. Now, other things you can do under advanced parameters is turn on and announce the caller's position. So the caller will hear how many people are in front of them and where they sit. Do not route calls to users who are already on a call. That's a popular one. Announce the caller's wait time. So when the caller comes through to an agent or a user, the user can hear on their web phone or their device how long that person's been waiting. The customer doesn't hear it or the person calling, but the person answering the call can hear wait time 30 seconds, 40 seconds, an hour. You know, they can hear that. Now you have options to do not show notifications about missed calls. Count each missed call in user statistics. So if you want a call comes through and it rings for 30 seconds and it rings again for 30 seconds and rings again for another 30 seconds, you can have all those counted as an individual. And as well as you can receive notifications for abandoned calls. So in this example, someone's come into your queue, they've sat there for a bit and then left. You may have a sales team. You want to pick up those calls so you don't miss those leads. You can then give them a call back and, you know, we noticed that you called us. Sorry, we were unavailable at that time. How can we help? Because some people may choose not to leave a voicemail. So it allows you to keep that retention going. Now, once you've played around with your settings and you've got them as you want to, as mentioned, you'll have an option for the exit code here. So at this time, I'm having that go to a voicemail. Other little things that we may want to utilize in here is if you have multiple queues, you might want to use your queue priority. So let's say we have a voice menu in place. This voice menu has multiple queues attached to it. And you have a user who is across these multiple queues. So let's add that in. So we will add that scenario. So let's go queue accounts, just to give the illusion of, you know, multiple queues, multiple divisions, or even you just have someone who's a multi-talented person and they're across each queue. So what you can do is you can have, when a call comes into this queue, you can set the priority of it. So anyone in both of those queues, you want to set a 10. So that will jump any other call waiting, and that will set these queue calls to a priority 10 over these ones. So depending on what you're doing and what you want to do, you can play around with priorities, as well as you can have queue wallboards as well. So if you have a queue in place, you can set up a queue wallboard. So once you've set up your queues, you can add them to a wallboard just like this. Now, with this wallboard, we can set our own password, but essentially once you've set everything that you want in here, which is how long you want the colors to change and what you want to change in here, once that is done and you have everything properly configured, we'll just get rid of the voice menu so I can show you. You hit apply configuration. That queue wallboard's generating the URL for me now, and it's just applying all these settings here. Once that has been applied, that's all live and ready to go. So I can then go into here, grab my new queue wallboard, and then I can enter my password that I've set here. Now, once I'm in here, I've got options to see. Once my agents are online, they'll all be listed here, as well as be able to see who's waiting in what queue and how long they've gone for. So they're your live statistics data. Outside of this option here as well, you have reports. So obviously you've got all your call flow configuration, and then you can get reports on the inbound calls and everything like that. User statistics, how many calls your users have taken, and if you have an external number that you can make outbound calls with, how many outbound calls they've making. So you've got all your analytical reports here as well. Dean, anything particular that you come across with your customers that you want me to go over today and add into this?
No, I think a lot of the people actually are using their queues, and they're actually using the caller ID to know which option they've pressed when we have users in multiple queues. A lot of people seem to be using the caller ID function, so they know whether they've pressed support, sales, accounts, especially for those people that are in multiple queues. It does assist them with knowing which line it's come from to start with.
Yeah, I agree. Like I'm finding a lot of that too. So a lot of small businesses these days are starting to utilize a lot of that kind of featuring around those type of things. It helps mitigate lost calls as well as distribute calls if you've got multiple people, which is always a great thing to do. Perfect.
And I think that's the
So,
biggest thing about
mm,
having multiple users cross-trained across different departments. Having that cross-training really actually strengthens your business up.
yeah, in small or big business, I think it's a very, underutilized. So it's always a good thing when we have customers come through asking about that kind of stuff. So as you can see, toll numbers have many different uses, and our PBX allows you to create many different call flows. Um, Basically, from here, we're going to open up the Q&A. We haven't really had too much come through at this stage, so feel free to, if you've missed it, at the top we have a Q&A option. You can post Q&A questions in there. We'll open that up now, so if you have any questions, go for it. Otherwise, we will be posting the video. If you did join later today, you will be able to go back and revisit. And all our webinars now and previous are posted on our websites as well as on our YouTube channel. So you can always go back and watch those as you need to as well. There's quite a bit of information in there. Yeah, I will just give it a couple of minutes and wait for some people to post. While we're waiting for that, Dean, did you want to go into just a general discussion of what else you're finding that businesses are asking for these days and what customers generally utilize?
Yeah, I
A bit
think
more extension on that.
a lot of the customers are utilizing those queue features, especially that queue callback feature. Obviously, the people that have called the queue or called the number, they want to call back as soon as possible. And then obviously, with that, if they leave the queue, obviously that callback feature is very good because obviously it jumps them straight into that. They get a callback relatively quickly because obviously, depending on the length of your queue or the timing of your queue and how long the wait period is. Quite often they do clear up quite quickly, and that queue callback feature does feature a lot in the setups that I've been noticing.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. It is a quite, user-friendly system. Perfect. I haven't had any questions come through, so I think what we'll do is end the session there. On screen right now, there are our details. So basically, if you want to get in touch about VoIP line and your own business requirements on our retail side, you're more than welcome to reach out to voipline.net.au or any other VoIP line subsidiaries. Dean, I'll let you go from there and finish off.
Yeah, thank you for attending the webinar today. We really appreciate your time. And obviously, if you're wanting more information on wholesale and partnership opportunities, you can visit VoIPcloud.online.
Perfect. Thanks everyone for joining.
Have a great day.